Godzilla is more popular than it's ever been in its 70-year history. And I think we can all agree on that. And Godzilla as a whole has been recently breaking the internet, thanks to Godzilla Minus One's amazing performance in the box office, and the goofy, stupid running clip from GXK. But out of all the different versions of Godzilla, my personal favorite is a tie between Gemstone, due to how epic the fights are and how awesome the kaiju designs are, and Monsterverse, thanks to its complex lore and amount of kaiju. So, being the Godzilla YouTuber I am, I thought to myself, could Gemstone Godzilla beat Monsterverse Godzilla? You see the title, you already know what we're going to talk about. So let's hop in. Gemstone Godzilla versus Monsterverse Godzilla. Today we are pitting the two most aggressive Godzillas in a ring. In one corner we have Monsterverse Godzilla, coming in at 119 meters tall and 99,000 metric tons. In the other corner we have Gemstone Godzilla, coming in at 1 meter taller, being 120 meters tall, and an estimated weight of around 100,000 metric tons. Almost everyone knows about Monsterverse Godzilla, but not as many people know about Gemstone, so I'll quickly explain. Gemstone is a Japanese film production company that for the past 2 years now has released Godzilla Day special short films, to pay respect to the older Showa era. The best part about Gemstone is the fact that their Godzilla is pretty much Heisei Godzilla and Showa Godzilla combined, bringing the force, power, and durability of Heisei Godzilla, and combining it with the speed, agility, fighting style, and IQ of Showa Godzilla into one body. Now hearing all that might make you think Monsterverse stands no chance. And while I write this, I literally have no idea. So without further ado, let's hop in. First up, we of course have strength. Who can lift more on the battlefield? Starting with Monsterverse Godzilla. Starting with his greatest feat being that he lifted Muto Prime. For those who don't know, the Muto Prime weighs an eye-watering 135,000 metric tons. And Godzilla didn't just lift him, he carried him on his back. Next up, oddly enough, we have to look at his mouth, since 2 times now Godzilla has used his jaw to throw his enemies. Starting with the male Muto, where Godzilla bit deep into the shoulder and threw him in the air. And for reference, the male Muto weighs 15,000 metric tons. And more impressively is Kong. We don't have an official weight for Kong, but the fans have come up with a weight for him around 60,000 metric tons. As we see in GVK, Godzilla throws Kong across Hong Kong, slamming him into a building so hard he dislocates his shoulder. Next up is Gemstone Godzilla. Though there is an issue. There are no official weights. You could make an argument that everybody in the Gemstone universe is around 100,000 tons, but that just isn't enough proof for the strength category itself. So the winner of strength pretty easily is Monsterverse Godzilla. As we established, this point goes to him due to the fact that Gemstone has no official weights yet. Next up is speed. Who's faster in this fight? First up, of course, Monsterverse Godzilla. Now, Monsterverse Godzilla's running speed is all over the place. A while back, it was said that he could run 200 miles an hour, then it changed to 300, and now recently I've seen 400. So it's a bit all over the place. Now, 300 seems to be the most reasonable. Now, I did try to get in contact with the guy who wrote this, but he never responded. So it's not 100% for sure, but it's safe to say he's, somewhere between 200 and 300 miles an hour. Now onto Gemstone, and yeah, he's pretty sluggish. I mean, we've never seen him run yet, and I mean, we literally see him walk up to Megalon. For speed, again, it's Monsterverse. Now onto IQ, starting with normal IQ. Firstly, Monsterverse Godzilla. He has shown that he's able to quickly find solutions when fighting. A great example is when he was fighting Tiamat. He was losing badly in the water, so he quickly used his ability to help him find an air pocket so he could get the upper hand. Now onto Gemstone. He works a little differently than Monsterverse. Rather than having a single feat of IQ, he shows that he learns very quickly. For example, when being hit by Gigan Rex's blades over and over, he soon learned to just grab onto them and pull him closer. Or when he was with Megalon and Megalon beamed him, he figured out that his pulse could counter Megalon's beam. So who wins overall IQ? Well, it's a tie. Between Monsterverse Godzilla's experience and Gemstone Godzilla's fast learning, I don't really see either of them having a noticeable edge over the other. Next up is Battle IQ, and I don't think we need to discuss this Monsterverse. Next category. Next up is durability. Now starting with Monsterverse, his greatest feat is when he was able to get hit by Muto Prime's punches, and when he also fell from the sky and survived. Now onto Gemstone. His best feat is when he took 4 of Gigan Miles' chest saws, and taking 0 damage. While both take heavy hits, I'm gonna have to give the very slight edge to Gemstone. I just don't see Monsterverse Godzilla being able to take on 4 Gigan Miles and have no damage. Especially with the fact that he was able to get stabbed into by Kong's axe and the Muto's claws. So durability goes to Gemstone. Next up is their amped forms. Just like how Monsterverse Godzilla took Battle IQ, Gemstone steals this category. Not only can he amp himself on command, but he's able to do it even at 30% power against Megalon. And I mean, just look at the damage they caused even without being amped. And even if Monsterverse was in his thermonuclear state, I still think Gemstone could take the hit without taking major damage. Next up is abilities. Who has more useful skills on the battlefield? First up, Monsterverse, and his abilities include Atomic Breath, Nuclear Pulse, though he's only able to use it when he's either amped or when his plates are destroyed. Heightened Senses. He's pretty much able to tell where every other kaiju is on Earth at any given moment. Telepathy. This is how he communicates to other kaiju, but I don't really think Gemstone will care what he says. And then other random stuff like density control and thermal vision. Now onto Gemstone. His abilities include Atomic Breath, Nuclear Pulse. Gemstone's pulse is just like Hasted Godzilla's pulse. And finally, Nuclear Manipulation. This is where he can send energy to really any part of his body, like his fists or maybe even chest, and of course his amp state. So who wins abilities? While Monsterverse does have more, they just aren't as powerful and useful as Gemstones. So Gemstone Godzilla takes that category. And finally we have Agility. Who's more flexible on the battlefield? And I don't really think we need to discuss this, Monsterverse wins. And I mean, we could keep going category by category, and the points will just be going back and forth the entire time, giving us an almost perfect tie. With the categories that we've gone over, we have a score of 4 to 5. Now, point-wise, our winner is Monsterverse Godzilla. But I disagree. Now, before the Monsterverse fanboys attack me, just give me a second to explain the major reasons why I believe this. And it really comes down to two things: his amp and his punches. First up, his amp. Unlike Monsterverse Godzilla, where he needs a whole bunch of specific things to happen to be able to amp himself to his thermal state, Gemstone can just do it whenever he feels like it. Not only that, but he can do that at 30% power. Now, to add on to that 30% statement, we have his punches. While we don't know Gemstone Megalon's weight, it's most likely he's also around 100,000 metric tons, just like Gemstone Godzilla. Now look at this clip. We see Gemstone Godzilla, again, may I remind you, at 30% power, punch Megalon so hard he goes flying backwards. So if he was at full energy at the start of this fight, which he would be, he'd be able to punch back upwards of 333,000 metric tons. So if this fight were to start from afar, Monsterverse Godzilla would of course beam, but Gemstone could just beam back and also amp himself. And Gemstone would be able to, close the gap thanks to his launch he has. And once he's close, at best he'll just punch him far away, or at worst he will punch through Monsterverse Godzilla. So though the points do stack towards Monsterverse's favor, if this were to realistically happen, I do genuinely believe Gemstone would win with around low to mid difficulty. But again, that's just my opinion. And also, thank you to all my channel members. Quick shout out to you guys: Santa, Bye Bye, Alistair the Wendigo, Writhemans, Mental, Amar, Burningzilla, Saltman64, and 478 Football. Thank you all. This is part of the video where, I ask you to subscribe and all that. If you want to see weekly Godzilla content, make sure to check out the channel. As always, keep collecting, everybody. Godzilla Guy out. See ya.